Most leaders today aren't short on learning. If anything, we're drowning in it. We've got books and podcasts, conferences, articles, newsletters, and yet very little of it actually shows up in how we lead. Here's something I've learned over time. It's not about more learning, it's about applied learning. If learning isn't captured and acted on, it doesn't create growth. It just creates the illusion of progress. And that gap between knowing and doing is exactly where coaching does its best work. In this episode, I'll give you 3 ways I capture my learning and act on it. I see this all the time with leaders. They attend a great event and they leave energized. They take pages of notes, and then real life shows up. These notes get buried, their energy fades. 3 weeks later, nothing's actually changed. This isn't a motivation problem. It's a capture problem. Learning that isn't captured and revisited leaks out of your life. And when learning leaks, growth stalls. Today, I want to share how I personally capture what I'm learning. Not because my way is the way, but because having a way matters. Now, I break it into 3 rhythms. I break it into event learning, daily learning, and weekly learning. It's simple, it's sustainable, and it's intentional. So let's talk about event learning. Anytime that I attend a training, a conference, a workshop, or any kind of meaningful meeting, I do a quick debrief afterwards. Nothing fancy, no long write-ups, just 3 questions. What did I learn? And I try to get at least one thing. Why does it matter? And then what am I going to do with it? Now, that last question is key. What am I going to do with it? Learning without action doesn't accomplish anything. It might feel productive, but leadership doesn't change. This is why in coaching conversations, we don't end with insight alone. Those conversations end with commitments to action. One decision to act beats 10 pages of notes every time. Now, the second thing I do is in my daily learning. This is where learning moves from just information to actual transformation. And it happens through my daily practices, not through some big, heroic one-time effort. So it starts with my daily journaling. Every day, I journal using these same core questions. What happened? What did I learn or decide? And what is my outlook? Same questions every day. Why? Because consistency reveals patterns, and patterns tell the truth. Clarity doesn't come from clever prompts. It comes from showing up daily and paying attention. Then there's the 1-year look back. This is part of the daily rhythm where I review what I wrote a year ago. And this is more powerful than it sounds. It reminds me what I was worried about then, what I worked through, and how much progress I've actually made. Nothing builds perspective like hearing from your past self. It's hard to say I'm not growing when the evidence says otherwise. And then there's the daily reading highlights. Now, when I'm reading, I capture highlights as I go. Then each day, I review 5 highlights using a product called ReadWise. This is a great app. You should look into it. And here's why this matters. Reading something once doesn't change you. Seeing it again, repeated back to you in a new context, just might. Old ideas resurface when they're suddenly relevant. That's when learning turns into leadership behavior. Again, it's not about reading more books. It's about letting what you've already read keep working on you. So we talked about event learning and daily rhythms. The third thing I do is the weekly learning. My weekly review is where learning becomes operational. Each week, I look back and ask what worked, what didn't, why, and then what will I continue and what will I change? This keeps me from drifting. Here's the truth. If you don't decide what changes, nothing does. Reflection without adjustment is incomplete. Adjustment is where leadership growth shows up. All of these rhythms are grounded in this full focus framework that I'm always talking about, and they've been part of my discipline for years. So they're not difficult anymore for me. They're part of how I operate. They're not complex, but they're intentional. So why does this matter? Well, leaders don't need more content. They need fewer insights leaking out of their lives. So captured learning compounds over time. It reduces repeated mistakes. It builds confidence through clarity. And applied learning is what separates busy leaders from effective ones. So, to summarize, I talked about 3 ways I capture and apply what I'm learning. First, a review of what I've learned after attending events and trainings. Then there's my daily habits for writing what I've learned and a practice that keeps that learning in front of me. And then there's these weekly processes that help me decide what action to take on those things that I've learned. So here's my challenge for you. Over the next 7 days, I want you to capture one insight each day. And then with that insight, decide one action. Don't overhaul your whole system. Just stop the leaks. Because uncaptured learning doesn't compound, but captured and applied learning does. Leaders who grow on purpose don't drift. They decide. So thank you for joining me for today's episode. Let me know in the comments what you're doing to capture learning, and I'll see you on the next episode.